The most vivid and at the same time difficult for me, but at the same time, probably for me, too, a turning point, an impression, was when my brother died. My brother died. We had a very, very deep connection, and it was such a severe shock. In principle, it turned everything upside down, absolutely everything in me, and brought me to a state of detachment. Thanks to this experience, I was able, in fact, to reinstall a bunch of things for myself. But what happened then? This rejection lasted for a moment. As soon as I realized that you have to accept this and you can't get away with it, it was what is called a quality dialogue with death and a productive dialogue with death. But at first it's just such a heart-rending internal cry, pain that doesn't let you go. When all this had already leveled off, more or less calmed down. But a little time has passed, quite a bit of time. This is so that I don't forget. Well, probably 7 or 8 days have passed. Maybe that's how it has passed. I began to understand that I felt it very clearly and vividly. Well, more than, naturally. Before this, all the experiences that I had, and when I felt dead people, it did not happen like that. But here it was constantly, regularly, like contact. And the first thing that, of course, came was, how can you react like that? Why are you acting this way? Why are you reacting so painfully? This is the constant information that came from him. Immediately, after some time, such a moment occurred. I was with my parents, and we were sitting and talking. Naturally, they have this pain, I have this pain, we have the same pain that unites us and is my own sister. For everyone, for us it is the same pain. And then a moment occurs when I realize that my body is starting to go completely numb. I feel like something has entered me. At the same time, I have consciousness, and I understand what I am saying, but it is not me who is speaking. I don't know how clear this is, of course, like I feel in my body. Completely different essence. I understand that this is the essence of a woman who has entered into me and who is trying to reason with me because I react inappropriately. But my voice speaks with a slightly different intonation, and it feels like it's not me. I am conscious, I see, but in such a clouded consciousness. Then it completely begins, as if this consciousness, to be gradually erased, and I begin to understand that I see some edges in a strange way. Then it all dissipates, and my mother is sitting to my right, my dad is sitting to my left. This woman, she speaks in my voice, but she begins to say things like how you can't react to death like that. Death is a natural process that leaving the body awaits each of us. And such a painful perception is that you are not only disturbing yourself, you are disturbing your brother. But it was a very long speech. After that, layers start to form in front of me just like that. I see a layer, so to speak, well, as if at the ceiling level now. Here at the ceiling level I see dead grandmothers and grandfathers standing. The most interesting thing is that they were all wearing the same clothes, dressed in our usual clothes. I see this layer, I understand that they see me, they see us. It's as if they are standing and there is a transparent ceiling. There is a transparent ceiling above us. Then even higher, I see an even higher layer, and the higher layer is also separated by the ceiling. The ceiling separates them from these, but there they are all in white clothes. They have such beautiful white clothes, and there I recognize my aunt's face. A lot of them, I understand that they have something to do with me. In the middle I see a cloud, so huge, white, beautiful, something luminous and so familiar. She tells me, look how big he is. Well, this is my brother. She says, you understand, this is how huge. What he didn't even reveal himself here. All this power was not revealed. And it dawns on me that this is him, but he has no face, nothing. It's just like it's not even a silhouette. It's, well, a cloud, a luminous cloud. They stand in two directions from him, and here they are all in white clothes. And my aunt, here she is, well, she really started to pass on information to me regarding her daughters. I then passed it all on to them. She now begins to talk about it, about everything. But basically the point was for me to understand that I can't hold him and I can't suffer like that. You need to let go and you need to accept it. But I was very amazed that they were in such. I started asking, why is that? Why are grandparents somehow lower? Why are these higher? She says, well, it's not for me to explain this to you, and it's not up to me to decide. I say, do they see you? Well, to my aunt. She says they can't see me. I don't even hear them. That is, here I am, that layer that is right at the ceiling level, whom I saw. There were many relatives there. I didn't hear them, but I heard the ones above. And she says, I see them. They don't see me. And there was another interesting moment. At that moment, there was some kind of appeal to Dad on behalf of this woman, an appeal to Mom. And Dad asked, will I see my son? Will I get to see my son? And she said, well, this sounds so strange, but it's me who's saying it. But it's not me. I know it's not me. She takes her hand like this and says, put your hand here. He sits to my left, and he puts his hand on me like that, on my hand, and literally this split second. His whole life is slipping by. That's all. That's all. I do not know how to explain it. These are seconds. But you see these moments. It's kind of strange. I cannot convey such an explanation with the human mind. A split second and his whole life, and she gives him such a clear answer. She says, yes, you will go to your son. And then my mother sits from here and says, what about me? And he asks so timidly. And she puts this hand, put your hand. She puts her hand on my arm. And he scrolls through his mother more than once. She spun it once, then spun it again, then spun it again. And he says, if you go in this direction, you will go to your son. And here my dear sister is sitting on the floor opposite. But it's so surprising. I see my mother. I see Dad, but with physical vision. I don't see my sister. I see all this, but I don't see my sister, this wall, everything that's there. She asks, what about me? And she was still just a child at that moment. And she says, you're asking these questions too early. And, as a matter of fact, I later felt physically ill. I felt like my body was incredibly dirty, very dirty. Compared to this, I am some kind of very dirty creature. This is the contact that happened. And then it passed when I was physically released. Only then everything became easier. Well, this is such an experience, but this is one of the most vivid experiences. And this happened to me at the cemetery several times, but it wasn't because they were restless and asked for something. There were cases when they wanted her to tell her that her relatives would stop doing and saying something. That's what happened too.